Welcome to selfdiscoveryradio.com, where the orchard of wisdom is just ready for picking. We celebrate your why, the journey that you've taken that inspires someone else. We support your services, we support your story. Come and be our guest, become a host, be an author with us. Come and see what we've got. Our next show is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Ignite Your Heart and Souls. I'm your host, Sara Troy, and my wonderful repeat offender here, Reverend Charles Eduardos, is back by my side. You've been watching this series with Channeling Ascensions that he's been on with Christina Hill and I, and we've also done a series with Ainsworth Renji. Another show is coming on that, finishing up the Christianity versus spirituality. But this is our little intimate show today. And we're going to be talking about quite a big topic in the sense of accountability, of authenticity. You know, we have talked a great deal about religion and kind of where it went wrong and how it became so much more institutionalized. And we're looking at the spirituality today. But one of the things we've got to be careful of, that the spirituality doesn't just become a different name to the practices of some of the religions. And I think one of the things we need to talk about today is the authenticity of your intent, taking the action to your words. We hear so many people talking, yet given the opportunity to maximize their business and make the money and get into the limelight, suddenly they don't practice what they're preaching. So I think this show today is on the accountability of your faith, how you practice it, the integrity and ownership behind it. And are you truly practicing the message that you're preaching? Welcome to the show, Charles.
Wow. All by myself? I have to, okay.
Yeah, you've got me all by yourself.
We will sort through these things, but you bring, it's a tremendous question. And here again, you know, you look at our society and the way that we go about things, and there are certain key words, you know, and spirituality is the big thing now. And so what does that really mean? But I think the power is in that word that you raise with intentionality. Is the authentic intentionality behind what we do as individuals? Is that authentic intentionality pure, or is it just about the bucks? You know, this is a way for me to make mad, crazy money, and even to the extreme, is this a way for me to set up and exploit people for my own personal gain? Or am I authentically from my heart in what I am doing as a spiritual teacher, spiritual leader, coach, spiritual director, practitioner, whatever? Is my intent to make the world a better place? Is the intention of my heart to help people step into a deeper level of awareness, or a higher level of awareness, whatever your orientation is the intention there for the good of all? I am one that does believe in win-win situations, and I don't believe that it should ever be. It feels weird. It should never be a situation where I'm winning and the other person is losing.
Yeah, and we all should be able to win, but not at somebody else's expense.
Exactly.
Right? Somebody shouldn't have to pay your tag.
Exactly.
Your tab for you, because
exactly right.
Yeah.
And that even comes down to where, in the case of someone that even is willing, okay, fine, I'll pay you whatever your rate is and everything. As a matter of fact, I told a gentleman some years ago, he was a BMW and I'm not talking about the ultimate driving machine. All he really wanted to do was to bitch, moan, and whine. So,
I like that.
so I told him, I said, for, a few dollars, you can go to the local pub and accomplish your end and have a couple of drinks and bend the ear. That's what bartenders do, and when you're ready to genuinely move forward, I'll be happy to work with you. But at this point, I just like to fire myself because I'm not comfortable with you, and it's your choice, but you seem to be choosing to stay stuck and keep rehearsing the same crap over and over and over again. I said, essentially, my observation is that you are stuck.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm trying to move you out of your stuckness, you're not ready for that. That's okay. I'm not angry, but let's just, this is
you
not.
Can't help them. You can't help them until they're ready.
Exactly.
I call it the old violin, when people are stuck in that, woe is me.
Right.
I had a friend that called me every week, and every week, it's like, oh, I'm going to jump off the bridge, and then it would be an hour and a half of everything that's gone wrong in the week.
Yeah.
And then one day I was just too exhausted to listen to this, and I just said, which bridge? She goes, what? And I said, which bridge? What do you mean? I said, well, clearly anything I say to you is not working. You're hell-bent on jumping off the bridge. Tell me which bridge, and I'll make sure they find your body.
Okay.
And I said, look, this is a waste of time. Every week it's the same track record. Every week it's the same thing. No matter what I say you, how I boost you up, you're right back on the same bridge next week. So clearly I failed. If you're hell-bent on jumping, then just let me know where. Yeah, and it even kind of shocked me that I did that. But at some point, you have to, because if we keep allowing them to play the violin,
right,
bitch, whine, and moan, that's the track record they're going to stay on. And we have to at some point say, choose your path. And if it is to walk forward and discover your own light, your own meaningful purpose, I am here with my tools, as there will be others with their tools. But you've got to make the choice and take the accountability of your own life. If you're still in that bitch, whine, moaning of it's everybody else's fault, I'm the victim, and I'm not going to take any ownership of this at all, nobody can help you at that point.
And that you hit the nail on the head there, and that's one of the biggest issues. People don't want to take accountability for their states.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are in a state of victimhood, you're making yourself the victim over and over and over again. Whatever it was that happened. Again, we're talking past tense. Happened. Yeah. It's past, and we keep it alive by resurrecting it in our mind. Okay, so part of this whole shock thing of, okay, fine. One of the questions that I'll ask clients sometimes is, okay, so what is the benefit you get out of continuing to do this over and over again, and continuing to be upset, to be frustrated? How is this really serving what you say you want? I want to be happy. I want to, whatever. Again, bovine excrement, because if you really wanted that, your behavior and your language would change.
Yes.
And so, for all intents and purposes, you are in a state of denial.
Yeah.
And of course, as we all know, denial is more than a river in Egypt.
Yes.
So,
I've known a lot of denialists.
Oh my God. So again, to the reality, the real hard truth is, if you are miserable by your own choice.
Yes. And very often by your own design.
Well, exactly,
Yeah.
by your choice and design. That's absolutely. And at any given point, you and you alone can change that. But here again, we're looking for other people. We're looking for someone else either to blame, or we're looking for someone else to provide that happy. Oh, when my Prince Charming comes, when this person or that person delivers me out of this, even to the extent of Christianity. You know, people are looking, oh, I'm my savior. I've been doing a word study on that whole thing of salvation. And again, one of those words that never really meant in the original language what we have come to accept it as being in our contemporary times. Salvation back then meant really, literally, a widening of the way, a widening of opportunity, a deliverance from, but not a
A
salvation
savior.
in this.
You're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, Jesus's whole thing to the people, you know, the kingdom is within you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's not out there. It's not, oh, there it comes, here it comes, there it goes. It is a matter of metanoia, changing your level of conscious awareness.
How
You
we
know,
speak to ourselves,
oh, exactly,
how we
exactly.
think. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
guilty of that. You know, I was brought up with, never enough and you're not a
yeah,
rise to this. It always
yeah,
was, you're
yeah,
not,
yeah. Right,
and I was
right,
brought
right.
up with the you're not. And then there was something inside of me, my spirit inside of me, why not? and,
Right, right, right.
and I was a little bit of a wild one. And, when I didn't hear people, which was quite often, I would go off and do my thing. And it was
Sure.
always instinctual. It's,
Yeah,
Sarah
yeah,
was always going with the wind and got me into trouble. But it also was what had me learn about life and explore life and also understand my own limits, but
yeah,
also how far I can actually go. Getting myself into trouble, how can I get myself out of it?
yeah.
um,
Right, right, right.
Putting myself in dangerous situations and getting out of it. And you learn, hey, I didn't know I had that ability. I didn't know I
Yeah,
was capable
yeah,
of that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
if we deny ourselves
yeah.
this exploratory journey of what we're capable of, we're denying ourselves of our own strength and courage and abilities that are there just waiting to be shown. So if we're
Absolutely.
always looking for someone to lead us,
Yeah.
how are we ever going to understand what we're capable of?
That's exactly right. And that even as a minister, as well as a coach, my thing is not to become a permanent fixture necessarily in
Mm.
somebody's life, but simply one to point the way and to begin a person more on a track of their discovery of their personal power. Um, I think we always need in our life people that will share with us a different perspective, that
Yes.
those people that will call us on our BS, that will, as I use the terminology, carefrontation.
Mm.
I care enough about you to
Yes.
call you on your crap.
Yes. Yes.
So and that is essentially, again, what I do is, you've seen my thing, my whole
Hmm.
my purpose, my personal purpose in life is to awaken and to help
Mm.
as many people as I can to awaken, because so many people are going through this life
The
in a
Walking Dead.
dream. They're
Yes.
dreaming. They're living
I,
in an illusion.
I think the reason why this show, The Walking Dead, is so popular and zombie movies is so popular is that the people relate. I think that it's a
Yeah,
metaphor for life, of just
yeah,
going through life,
yeah,
and it's,
yeah. Right,
just
right.
take a bite out of anyone just in order to survive. And it's like,
Yeah,
when are you going to insert joy into your life?
exactly,
When are
exactly
you
right.
going to actually understand exuberance of life? When are
Yes,
you going to let
right.
that spirit of your life burst open and influence others in a beautiful, positive way? You can't do any of that unless you're willing to immerse yourself into yourself,
Yeah,
align with your own God, your own divinity, and then get out there and do. And I think it's we have a lot of people today that have become the spiritual preachers, right? The spiritual mentors. And, you know, some of them may have started off on the right path with the right intent.
Yeah.
Then ego stepped in because popularity stepped in. There's people that are hungry for this, so they're going to latch on to anyone who's doing it. And then it goes into a point where it becomes all ego-based, and they've lost the message.
Yeah.
And they've lost that soul and heart connection because they ultimately went the other way. And I think this is the one thing, igniting our heart and souls and stepping into our own authenticity, you know, discovering who we are and understanding that we're beautifully flawed creatures. That's what makes us so unique, right? And but we learn from our mistakes, and that doesn't mean we're not going to make others, you know. No, it doesn't mean we're not going to make other mistakes along the way, but we recognize those mistakes. I shouldn't have done that, and we know how to rectify it, because we take ownership of it. And when you step into that soul purpose, you see, you go from being mentor, coach to cheerleader.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So, you know, once you've helped them on that path and you know you've given them all the tools that you can give them, you're no longer that mentor coach. You're now that person who is their cheerleader, cheering them on their own growth and their own success. And they may leave and may come back and show you what they've done and what they've achieved. But that's what we want to become. We just simply want to become their cheerleader, or even become obsolete in their life because they're out there on their own, spreading their own wings. But there's still that fine line, isn't it, of being the spiritual teacher and allowing that spiritual, because I can tell you, I've interviewed quite a few people that when I first interviewed them, that humbleness was there. And they suddenly got very popular and the ego stepped in. And it's such a shame because the message was true. And, you know, the content of what they've got is true. But because all of a sudden the money, the popularity, the ego has risen, and the core message is getting lost, which is what I find so very sad.
Well, that's what kind of concerns me. And I've heard different people, and they have, and I totally respect that, that they have their particular point of view, as everybody does. I think the hard piece for me is when we have the responsibility as spiritual leaders and those that are have gained the right or have the right to speak into others' lives. How we model is very important. And then when people are not responding to us in the same metaphors that we have chosen. You know, we have our pet metaphors, you know, awakening or enlightenment or a matrix, you know.
Inspiring.
You know, we have our pet words, our pet metaphors, which point to, and for me, in my personal training, it's kind of helping me understand that person's map of reality and how they've mapped it out. But the trap is when we start to slip into this exclusivity, so that when people don't respond according to our metaphors, we kind of give the impression that they are wrong or they don't have it, and I am the sum total. See, that's what happened to religion in the first place.
Exactly. You know? This is what I'm saying. We've got to be careful that spirituality doesn't mimic the religious platform.
Exactly right. And this is where Leo Tolstoy's quote plays so well. The only thing that we learn from history is that we learn nothing from history, because we fool around and we'll point the finger at those folks over there that did it and don't recognize that we're doing it ourselves, as opposed to, and as I try to tell people, always maintain some level of openness. And again, Stephen Covey, I love his quote, seek first to understand and then to be understood. As a spiritual leader and teacher and coach, my thing is to ask the right questions. I want
Yes.
to ask the right question that's going to help give me a level of deeper understanding and connection with the
Yeah.
person that I am talking to.
And, I'm a True Colors coach as well, along
Mhm.
with another program, View of Life,
Mhm.
and other things that I do. But what I love about the True Colors is that it really does identify our human profile, our
Yeah.
human perspective. And,
Mhm.
in doing that, I learned to actually understand from what perspective they're coming from. Now,
Yeah.
I'm speaking from my very, very clear blue perspective, but
Okay.
I know for some people it's too out there for
Yeah.
some
Right.
people.
Right.
And,
Right. Right. Right.
give me the facts, give me the details,
Yeah.
and for other people, how can I actually use this? And
Yeah.
for other
Yeah.
people, it's about how can I make money from it? So,
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
their response to it will give me an indication of what their perspective is. And that
Exactly.
means that we then need to change our dialogue a little bit. We can't lose ourselves because we
Exactly.
are what we are, and we're going to
Exactly.
draw the people to us that can hear us in our language.
Exactly.
But we can also adjust our language a little bit to when we are hearing somebody that is needing the nuts and bolts, that
But
we
now you're
just
talking about being sensitive to people. You're
right.
talking about being,
Yes.
caring
Understanding.
enough about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Caring enough about them to truly connect.
Mhm.
I want to connect. I want to help me. I've even said to people, help me feel what you're feeling. Let's talk about this a little bit more,
Yeah.
and let's get into some of the description. I like to sometimes even say, okay, so where I'm hearing you use the word frustration. Where in your body are you feeling that frustration?
Mhm.
Describe for me what it's like,
Yes.
And again, some people will feel it in their gut. Some
Mhm.
people will feel things in their head, in their shoulders and everything.
Some
And
people aren't even aware that they're feeling it.
not until you ask them. And then they go,
Exactly,
it's like,
exactly.
oh, wow.
Nobody's
So
ever asked me that before.
exactly. But then they'll tell you, wow, thank you for asking me that,
Yes,
and
yes.
because when you, again, from neurolinguistics, it is virtually impossible to continue in unresourceful behavior with awareness.
Mm,
But so much of what we do, we're not even aware of.
right.
Our languaging, our body language, was the statistic 93% of our thoughts are repetitious and
Mm.
useless.
Well, that's what we call patterning. And this is why,
Yeah,
we go in and
right,
deprogram people, because what we're doing
right.
is we're replacing those patterns that no longer serve them.
That's it.
They're on a loop.
Habituated pattern.
Yes, they have no
Yeah,
idea that these
right,
patterns are there because it's so
right, right,
subliminal. And
right,
so we have to go in there and identify
right,
what these patterns are and go,
right.
delete. You don't need that one anymore. That one can go.
Exactly,
That one's got a
exactly.
virus. Quickly press delete on that,
Yes, right. Where's that Control Alt
Yeah.
Delete button? Let's do a restart here.
Exactly. And
Exactly.
that's why sometimes we actually have to kind of reset our lives. We
Yeah,
have to be
exactly.
willing to strip
Exactly
our
right.
lives away
Exactly right.
and then look at what is the core of us
Yeah.
and how much is the programming of us. I look at the brain as being the hard drive,
Mm-hmm.
and the programming is in
Mm-hmm.
and the software
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
in our memory. And
Yeah.
so the heart and soul, of course, is the consciousness of that machine. And we also
Yeah.
talk about consciousness in machines,
Yeah.
right? So um, when we look at the hard drive, that it only knows one, it's mechanicalism of how to
Yeah.
work. But the mind side of things is entirely made up of programming in this life,
Yeah.
but also some DNA imprint from past lives that we
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
over. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the many people I've come across that have these particular programmings, including myself, that had nothing to do with them in this lifetime. It
Yeah.
was lifetimes carried over that never got dealt with, and
Yeah.
that it
Yeah.
kept traveling from one lifetime to the other. And
Right.
it had to be erased in order for the person in this lifetime to embrace what they're here for now,
Right.
rather
Right.
than all
Right.
this other garbage. We don't
Right.
realize we're walking with so much garbage with us because
Oh,
nobody
exactly
talks
right.
about deprogramming or looking at what we're carrying around with us that
Yes,
doesn't serve us.
I heard it described, which made so much sense. we come into this world with, like, you get a computer and it comes with Windows XP on it or whatever. So we come with the egoic operating system. And part of what we do in our spiritual practice and development is we upgrade the operating system. We upgrade to this unitive operating system. The non-dual mind, the non-dual operating system, and that's a quantum leap in and of itself. But just like now, your average machine out there, you buy your average computer and it's going to come with Windows 10, and that's it.
A little computer you're walking around with, right?
So, but you can always, and we have the choice to upgrade our operating system. The big question is, how is it serving you? I love the Dr. Phil question. How is that working for you?
Right. Exactly.
And if it's not working, change it.
Exactly.
Nobody is going to come and change it for you. No. You make the determination.
Somebody can help you. Somebody can help you with. There are so many tools out there. Chisel, hammer, this or that. Which tool do you need for this particular application, right?
And that's what you do and I do. We're kind of like tech support,
right?
For the upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. And what we're doing is, I love the Wayne Dyer thing. The I am.
Yeah.
And since he's crossed over, he's talking through a Karen Noe. And he's talking about, and now I understand it is the we are. And, I said, we have to become I ams first. We have to step into, I am here for this purpose. I am here. This is my calling in this lifetime. And that is what we have to strip away all the other crap and get to who I am so that I could be a part of the we are. And how many times do I reference this of our musical instrument, perfecting it enough to join the orchestra so we can create a symphony. And it's that ownership of our instrument, of how we're going to play it, what kind of music we're going to play. Is it going to be, that awful violin screeching, or are we going to create music that's going to be invitational for other people? But the beingness is the doingness, isn't it? It's stepping into what we're here for.
So try this. What if, and I think sometimes in our Westernism, we tend to be about, I want results, I want to know, I got to get there. What if we were to just rest with, just to sit with, and marinate in I am. See, we always want to finish the sentence. Well, maybe the sentence is finished with I am, period.
Yes,
and allow what is to emerge naturally without effort.
Yes. Yeah. I think the biggest problem is nobody knows who the I am is. Because
the way they're going at it is not.
But it's also that, take a child in their beautiful innocence and you watch them play, you watch how they go about life. They're very I ams.
Oh yeah, they're closer to it than we are.
Oh, and then we send them to school or to church or to this or to that, and then they become institutionalized, and then they become you are.
Yeah.
Right. Not an I am anymore. And we're destroying that I am. And then they have to go through all the therapy and all the everything else later on to find out what their I am is again.
Right.
Why can't we just look at a child? Why can't we take those children and nurture their I ams? And in the same wonderment as they have of what their path is going to become, instead of dictating what they should be.
Because we've lost it.
Yes,
because
we do.
That's part of the problem right there, because we get into, we slip into this thing of, well, in the real world, you have to get along, and you have to do this and do that. And so we go to fitting in, we get into this thing of
don't rock the boat.
And, so we do the sorting and what I share in my teachings and trainings, you know, the iceberg, where the part above the water is the conscious mind, the part below, of course, is the subconscious with the autonomic functions and whatnot. But then right along the waterline, from a little bit above the waterline to a little bit below the waterline, you've got that section that is the critical mind that's developed between birth and approximately 8 years of age, where we learn good, bad, right, wrong, you know, all that stuff. So it's the stuff in just beneath the surface of our conscious awareness in the critical mind that creates the self-sabotage, that creates all of the problems, that creates the illusion of who we think we ought to be, as opposed to just being. We end up slipping into, instead of being human beings, which is what we are, human beings, we slip into and become human doings. I am Charles Eduardos, PhD, Doctorate of Ministry, certified hypnotherapist. No, that's not who I am.
Right.
Those are roles that I play and
Yes.
letters that I may have and everything, but that's not who I am.
And that brings up a point. I remember meeting a lady who was in her 50s, and she'd spent her entire life learning. And I think I was there 5 minutes with her pa-dee-dee-dees, ba-bee-bee-dees, da-dee-dee-dees, da-dee-dee-dees, as she went on, which I had no idea what the hell they are. And I just said, well, what are you going to do with all this knowledge? I don't know.
But see, we think that's what's, you know, that's it. We chase all these things, and then we don't know what to do with them.
Yeah. You know, the only thing I got after my name is Nitwit. You know, it's
well, and if you notice, that's why I don't use any of that stuff.
Right, exactly.
Really, what does it mean?
Right. I mean, the thing is these are things that you've gone and done to expand your understanding, but we don't walk around with this understanding neon sign. I think. Might have been my son or one of my daughters that said to me, you know, aren't you impressed by people who have got all this knowledge? And I said, I'm impressed by all the people who know how to use the knowledge.
Now there you are. And I got to push back on the one thing. You say, you know, the people that get all this in order to gain this knowledge. Sometimes that's not even the intention. They pursue the degrees and they pursue all of these certifications, blah, 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 to impress themselves and to impress other people.
Look how important I am.
And here again, you know, you have, as I'm sure you've heard the expression, BS for bull stuff.
Sugar.
MS for more stuff, and PhD for piled higher and deeper. The number of people, and don't get me wrong, I love education. I'm going back, I'm continuing. I am a perpetual student, but there's a difference for the pursuit of wisdom and knowledge and everything. And again, the pursuit of prestige and notoriety or whatever. And you know, I can't even tell you the number of I've met there are a lot of PhDs that I love and have the most respect for, and they're brilliant people, and then I know some that couldn't find their butt if you gave them a map.
I know.
So
you know, that's the thing. I've come across so many people in my life that, you know, are the intellectuals. But you can't have a conversation with them without them referring to somebody else. Like the knowledge is not taken unto themselves in understanding. They are referrers. Now, my daughter went back to school at 27. And you know, she was said, you're anti-school. I said, no, I'm anti school if it's knowledge for knowledge's sake. But I'm pro-wisdom to know what to do with the knowledge. And I think all those years, so she was 10 years, you know, out there working and traveling. And when she went back to school, she went back with knowing what she wanted to do. And it's social work. And she just had to do her practicum. And it was given with young kids. You say, I don't want to work with young kids. I like the teenagers. But she was given what she was given. Now she's announcing, I'm going to work with kids. And so the thing is that the universe puts us where we need to be. The
Right.
thing about it, though, is because she had all those years beforehand, she gained wisdom to
Yes.
understand how to
Yeah.
use the knowledge. And I think
There.
this is what people go, is that, yes, having knowledge for knowledge's sake is not impressive.
Right.
Having knowledge to know how to use the wisdom, or the wisdom to know how to use the knowledge, is
Right.
really what I do admire in people. And
Right.
it's,
Right.
whether you've got the PhDs or anything else, that means that you're just more articulated on the knowledge and have better approach to things. But
Sure.
I still think that the knowledge needs to come, or the knowingness needs to come from the divine gut.
But and there's where you hit the nail on the head from the standpoint of, am I living my life authentically?
Yes.
And that goes back to what is it that Gus has put in you that needs to come out? And this is where people will find themselves in jobs, in careers, in colleges, in institutions for higher education, but they are following someone else's
Yes.
dream or
Yes.
direction, and not following the path that Gus had prepared for them and what, fulfilling their soul purpose in this life and everything. So that creates a whole set of problems right there.
I mean, I got very frustrated growing up because I have learning disabilities, and out of 12 years of schooling, I only completed 6. So, I'm considered very unacademic and highly uneducated. And everything in life had to be, I mean, the jobs I talked in, yes, of course I can do it. And then quickly learn. How do I do it? That's been me my entire life. I jump into everything and learn while I'm there, and either sink or swim. But it's the way I've always done it. And my knowledge is, as you know, as I've said it in every show, is from the knowingness. When I step into knowingness, is the divine knowledge. I'm not going to argue with it. It's supreme. And then I actually understand what that knowingness how it needs to be applied.
Sure.
But I do envy the people that who have the ability to be able to absorb the scholarship, the scholarly knowledge. But that has never been my path. And it's at one point I got quite peeved about it. Why can't I do this? And it was just, that's not your path. And I think this is the thing is, again, it goes into, I think for me, most certainly, as I said, the divine knowledge, when you know what you know and you need to know it. And that knowingness only gives me, and I realize it's not for me to be the person that's going to come out with the knowledge that is needed. It's for me to find the people who have that knowledge and know enough in how to bring out their knowledge to serve other people.
You are the facilitator of the dissemination of wisdom. Okay. And this is my secret weapon.
Water.
Smart water.
Smart water.
No.
Coffee.
Hey, caffeine. Right. But no, and just that's the whole thing, to
step into your role.
Accept our role. And but here again, we're almost conditioned to look at the other person and want what they have and just totally disregard what's right there in front of me to accomplish and do, like no other person can.
The I am.
I
am here for this purpose. This is all I need to know in my purpose. If I was meant to know more knowledge, I would have been given the brain cells to go off to school to do it.
There you go.
Honestly, I think this is the thing. We have to accept that everybody's role is important. And there is no one more important than the other, because as a facilitator, I bring the people with the knowledge to them. And we all have, I call it the importance of self. The importance of self is placing importance on self, where you're loving and nurturing and caring for you so you can be the best you can. Self-importance is people that are derived by ego. Right? So we have to place importance on ourselves and understanding who we are and what we're here to do. And understand that it may only be here, it may be up there, it may be that wide. It doesn't matter. It's all important. Every piece of machinery, whether it's the tiny nut or the big engine, is important.
Yes, yes. There's no big I's and little U's
Mm.
in the kingdom.
Yeah.
Everybody counts. There's a scripture that talks about, the body of Christ and every joint supplying
Mm-hmm.
each one of us a part in that total body, and just that I did a homily years ago about. Uh, this whole concept, and I said, there's a scripture that talks about the unseemly parts of the body, and so I said, we talk about people, oh, they have pretty eyes and they have a beautiful smile, and I said a person can live a full life without ever smiling.
Mm-hmm.
A person can live an entire productive life without eyes, not being able to see and everything, but you won't live 5 minutes without your sweat glands, because it
Mm-hmm.
regulates your
Yes.
body and your body temperature and everything. So I said it basically came down to being content and actually celebrating if all you are is one of Gus's sweat glands.
Yes.
Just rejoice, because you are performing, although it's not maybe the most glamorous job,
Right.
because you don't have people talking about, oh man, look at Charles, he sure can sweat, but
The thing is, the janitor is just as important as the CEO.
exactly.
Because if you walk into a place and it's dirty, you're going to think,
Yeah,
unkept, they clearly can't, they're not going to be
exactly.
able to deliver on the business. If you go in and it's
Exactly.
pristine clean, then
Yeah.
people pay attention to detail here. And if
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
wanting to hire someone, you want to know they pay attention to detail. So
That is
your
exactly
janitor is
right.
just as important. And I think that goes now to respect.
Yeah.
Why should I respect you more?
Self-respect.
But
Yeah.
also perception. Why should
Yeah.
I respect the CEO more than the
Oh,
janitor?
yeah. Well, exactly.
Just
And
because the
and
pay grade is different?
and the wise CEOs, the wise leaders, recognize, and the whole thrust here in recent, I guess, in the last 20 years or so, of servant leadership.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
as a leader, my job, and as I've said, when I was working in corporate America, my job is to help you guys and provide you all with everything you need to do your job.
Mm-hmm.
And then I throw in my warped sense of humor, just make me look good.
Yes.
So,
But
but
it's like you as a reverend, you are not a servant of God. You're in service of God.
yeah, yeah,
Right? And
yeah.
that's, I think,
Well, I look at it, I am in service to God. I am here, and actually even from the Bible, I'm here to serve God's people.
yes.
I am here as a servant. And that was the model of Christ. He says he came to serve, not to be served.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what happened to ministry, with so many ministers going around feeling like they're supposed to get a new car every year and a big house, and everybody's supposed to serve them. That's totally contrary to the model that Christ
Well, and
himself.
that was also the model that you couldn't get to God unless it was through them. So you wanted their favor so
Yeah,
you could get
right.
a message to God, right?
Yeah. Don't
The old
make me
paradigm. Yeah. Those are what we've covered on the other shows, folks.
don't make me vomit on live internet. Oh boy.
But,
Yeah, but that's the putrid side,
yes.
and the immoral and totally wrong side of
The BS side of it,
yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. Very
And I
good.
think, we've often said too, is that when you step into your own divine essence and you are a part of God, or Gus, as you put it, God, universe, spirit, and we have that connection and we're constantly channeling, downloading,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
embracing that feeling because we feel it, we know what to do with the knowledge, we are it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We bypass the church and those teachings to a point, but I think that's actually when we actually need the house, of
Yeah.
church even more, because you know it's not about going through you to get to God. It's about
No.
us all coming together with our
Together.
own God within us,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
in that harmony, in that chorus,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
creating a song now that uplifts and serves and supports
Yeah.
others. And I think
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it, is coming together in
Exactly.
that divine light, you know.
Exactly.
And because again, our journey is solo as far as the discovery of self, becoming I am.
Yes.
But it's not solo when you get there, because then we become the we are, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, and that's the whole thing. We, God in us in God, God in all things. You know, it's not necessarily, it's not really the pantheism that I am God, but it is the Lord have mercy.
God is within.
One of the theological words is perichoresis. It's that dance, that interweaving, where
Mm-hmm.
we're all just flowing together, and there is
Yes.
this ultimate oneness.
Yes.
So I am you, you are me.
Mm-hmm. The intertwinement.
Imagine a world where we literally feel into one another,
Mm.
and that we even by virtue of, I choose to see you in your authenticity, that even whereas in this moment maybe you're not seeing yourself in the perfection that God created you, but I see that
Mm-hmm.
with you and for you, and in this intertwining that literally manifests a
Yes.
healing in your
Yes.
body.
Yes. Because
I
what
believe that stuff.
it's
Yeah.
opening up those little doors, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
your chakras and your chi, your energy, has to be open. You know,
Hmm.
the air
Yeah.
flows.
Yeah.
Light
Yeah.
is constantly, perpetually moving.
Yeah.
Water
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
constantly moving. What happens when it
Yeah.
goes stagnant? It
Mm.
ferments and gets all
Yeah.
gungy and
Yeah.
horrible. We
Yes.
have to have that energy flow within us. We
Yes.
are creatures of fluidity. And so we must
Yes.
always be moving forward. We must
Mm.
always be exploratory. Now, we can choose to be a stream, a river, or an ocean, and that will be defined by the role that we're here to play. But each role has that importance. Each role has its particular reason for being here. But we must liberate ourselves and step into the flow, into the rhythm, into
I'm getting
the
glory
vibration.
bumps. Woo! Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
allow yourself to flow,
Exactly.
because when we
Yeah.
get the pain, when
Yeah.
we get the sorrow, when we get
Yeah.
the confusion, is when we've
Yeah.
blocked that divine
Yeah.
knowledge and
Yeah.
flow within
Yeah.
us. And
Yeah.
that's sometimes where you need someone to come along. Okay, yeah, that
Yeah.
button has
Yeah.
caused
Right.
problem
Right.
here, right?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Let's unpress that pause. Okay, now you're a flow
Yes.
again, you know. And we
Yeah.
do need
Yeah.
the outside help sometimes to see where the problem is, because sometimes we're too immersed in it to actually
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, I love that whole idea of that flow. And we really cannot escape that whole concept of community. You know, that
No.
for those that want to be the lone rangers and everything, there is a time for all things under the sun. There is a time to come apart and to have that hermitage, that retreat, but then there is a time for coming together. And
Yes. And sometimes this path can be a
mhm.
lonely one. I mean, for
Yes.
me, is that I meet,
Oh Lord.
you know, how many times have we've done these shows and we've spoken, and every time my heart is filled, my spirit is lifted, and
Yeah.
it's a wonderful feeling I carry with me, and I look forward
Yeah.
to the next one. And
Yeah.
I meet such wonderful people this way that are doing such wonderful work for humanity, for this world, for this universe.
Right.
But
But then in your personal life,
in my
it's
personal life, I am
I
alone.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Which is
yeah,
some part of me I don't mind, but another
yeah,
part of me is that I have this community online. I wish I had this community actually physically
yeah.
around me. You
Yes,
know, that is
yes,
something
yes,
I miss, being able to actually go in and feel that beautiful divine energy around, you
yes,
know, the hugs, the touch, the camaraderie,
yes,
the spirit.
yes,
That
yes,
and I think that's where church is going, where
Yeah.
it is about, the being there for one another, the
Yes.
hugs, the smiles, the touch of the
Yes.
hand, the squeeze of the hand. I'm there for you. I'm
Yes.
celebrating
Yes.
with you.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
rejoicing with you.
Yes.
That's what we need, because that's deblocks any of the blockages that are in the
Exactly.
way.
Well, like you say, it's healing.
Yes.
It is healing at the physical, mental, as well as spiritual.
Right.
There's just total healing in that level of communion,
Yeah.
connectedness. There is just a natural flow of energy. Everything ultimately is energy. Even
Yes.
the rock is
Everything.
energy,
Everything. Even this little
everything.
stainless steel cup has an energy
Exactly.
signature.
Yeah,
Everything.
exactly.
Absolutely
Exactly.
everything. And the
When you
thing is,
get
I mean, I wish I was closer to you. I would be at your church. I just,
okay.
I would be there, because I know that it would be, it would be one of uplifting, of harmony, of caring, of community. And,
Mm,
going back to what we said at the beginning, is that I've been to a lot of spiritual churches. The
mhm,
people have walked from religion and gone to spirituality. And
mhm,
what I'm still seeing is a protection over their spirituality, a
mm,
protection over their particular teachings.
mm.
And that if you see it from a different point of view, you are wrong. And this is where I'm
Yeah,
seeing
yeah,
is the warning signs. All you've done is put a different label. You're
yeah.
using
Well,
different words, but you've put a different label on it.
yeah,
And if you truly actually understand God's energy, it
yeah.
is not to be contained.
Thank you. That's exactly right. That's exactly. Nobody has an exclusive
No,
on
no,
God's truth. On
no.
on what I mean. Gus's truth is Gus's truth, whether it falls under the banner of Vedanta or Buddhism or
Mm,
Taoism or Christianity or Islam or Sufism. It is there is an ultimate convergence of truth, and
it's like your
we,
clothing of what you wear.
yeah, yeah,
Some people choose to wear a dress, some people, are pants people, some people prefer this or that. And the thing is what do we feel comfortable that represents us?
yeah.
And it's like there isn't a one size fits all. We
No, there
know
isn't.
that there is a one Gus,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
but that
right,
Gus is perceived and seen
right,
and
right.
felt
Yeah,
from how our vision is from the inside out.
exactly,
Right? So how
exactly.
we see God within us is how we're going to project God or Gus out to others.
Yes, yes,
Right?
yeah,
And it
yeah,
doesn't make it wrong or right. It's our perception.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
speaking to the people who have the same perception. And
yeah,
if people have a
yeah.
different perception, they're going to go to those people.
Mm,
None of us are wrong. It's
right.
just, again, the different musical instruments. And if we could all come together with our different instruments and
Yeah.
decide to play together,
Together. Yeah.
what a
Yeah.
beautiful orchestra we could create, because it's just
Symphony.
about diversity.
Yeah.
Symphony,
Yeah.
black, white, pink, yellow, who cares?
Yeah.
It's all about what do we bring to the table, our harmony,
Yeah.
our energy.
Yeah.
Let's get
Yeah.
over this container business
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I,
start looking at what else is there.
there was a situation where a symphony orchestra with all the traditional symphony orchestra instruments, but then they had added to that some traditional cultural, like they brought in some of the African instruments,
Mm,
kalimbas and whatnot, and they just brought all these different cultures and
yes.
their various instruments together, and it's like, oh my goodness, how heavenly was that?
Yeah, there's
um
one Afro-Celtic.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
beautiful. It's Celtic music with the African
yeah,
beat. Ah,
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yes.
So it's that kind of again, going back
Fusion.
to one of
Mm.
my words, the openness. If we could open our heart, open our mind, to the possibilities that are there, and understand that there is an intelligence and a design that supersedes us. But it's like Mark Twain said, God created man in his image and likeness, and man returned the favor. We want to make God in our image and likeness, and make
Yes.
God to be as neurotic and hung up and insecure as we are. So
Yes.
yeah,
And the
what
thing
can I
is, we're
say?
selling ourselves short.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
really are.
yeah,
Is that let's just look 10 years.
Hmm.
Look how the cell phones have changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, I remember when it was bigger than this.
Yeah.
Right, right,
Yeah.
and I go back to when we just had pages,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
actually I go back to when we just had the roll phone and
Yeah. Yeah.
Rolodexes,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
when the computer was this square box,
Yeah.
and it was just dot 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 dot, and the
Hey, and when I
computer
was a
would,
boy, we had party lines. My
yes,
grandmother,
yes,
you pick up the phone and the other person may be using the phone because there
right,
were party lines. You didn't even
yes,
have a private line. So,
right,
and
yeah.
my first cell phone was a huge thing. It almost looked like a briefcase.
You're right, you're right. I mean,
Uh,
contractors loved them because they were like bricks,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I used to
and
call mine a brick.
and the thing is that just look how far we have come.
Yeah, yeah,
How what it does is it opens up to the fact that we are incredibly creative.
yes,
Universe is all about creation. As something dies, something from that death comes into a new creation. That
yes,
creativity is within us. This is why we're
yes.
always going to see innovations and creations and exploration of what is possible. It
Yeah,
does what it does mean. There's sometimes things like with the nuclear bomb.
no,
Does it have to be used like that? No, it doesn't.
exactly.
That's where the
No, right,
humanity needs to come into it and
right,
saying, does this serve humanity? No, it
right.
destroys it. So when
Yes,
we look at the creativeness of what can serve mankind and this planet, this beautiful gift that we've been given,
yes.
the universe in which it's placed in, and everything has to be in its proper sphere, otherwise we're going to get thrown off.
Yeah,
Balance. And
yeah,
we need to understand, don't sell yourself short. Don't just
yeah,
think, well, I'm only this. No, you're not.
yeah. No, yeah.
It's your I
You have
am
no
is purposeful.
idea.
No, and
Yeah,
even in my am as the facilitator, it's a
yeah,
big responsibility. It's
sure.
unlimited.
Yeah,
And if I am only that, that's okay, because how far can I take this facilitation? How far
yeah,
can I
right, right.
expand it? So if you're only
Push
the
the
artist,
limit, push
push
the
the
limit.
limits, push the limits. Is 1,200 shows okay? I'm still building.
Oh,
Um,
there you go.
and even with the janitor, how
Yeah,
much
yeah,
polish here and squeak here clean can he make something? The thing
absolutely.
is value people for the roles that they've been given, and stop
Exactly right.
looking down at them and thinking
Exactly.
you're more important. And if we could step
Exactly.
that out of the way and
Yeah,
see each other for who we are and what our roles and gifts are, we
yeah,
will actually, I think, then start appreciating and
yeah.
having more gratitude for each other, which
Sure.
I think is a very common denominator.
Right. Well, and part of it, Sarah, is recognizing that the problems that emerge are rooted in fear.
Yes.
When I fear that I am not enough or good enough, when I'm always attempting to be to measure up to some standard or whatever. So it comes down to just an amazing simple word called surrender.
Yes.
Just surrendering to love, surrendering to Gus, surrender. I heard the expression "fall fearless
Yes.
into love."
Yes.
Um,
Surrender to receiving, to
e-
allowing,
exactly,
and I
exactly.
think receiving is a big one, because
Yeah,
um, when we allow
mm,
ourselves to receive what it
yes,
is we
yeah,
really need,
yeah, yeah,
then we're actually aligning our soul purpose
right,
with our human purpose,
yeah,
and then there
yeah,
is no more fight.
yeah.
You're in that harmony of self,
Hmm.
right? But we've
Hmm.
got to stop dictating what we want or should be and
Well, that's
accept
us be
what we
trying to
are.
be God.
Yes, yes, yes.
So,
Yeah.
but and again, it comes all the way back again to awareness.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm doing this. I don't know if I shared the story with you before about a client that I had some years ago, a Jewish gentleman, where it just hit him all of a sudden, and he broke down in tears. I mean, he got such a breakthrough, and he said, "Oh my God, I'm the one that's creating this mess.
Mhm.
I'm doing it." And he realized it was, his habituated
Yeah.
pattern of thinking and behaving, because again, as we think, we act and whatnot. And so it dawned on him, and that was his liberation. And he's, from that day forward, has been taking responsibility
Right. Big
for his
one.
own life, you know. And that doesn't mean that he's not making any mistakes anymore, but it's okay. You take the learnings from, okay, that didn't work out
Mm-hmm.
the way I had hoped or intended. It's okay. So what can I learn from that? How will I do this differently the next time this type of a situation comes up or whatever? And just allowing, because we create our suffering through being overly attached to things, by judging things,
Mm-hmm.
and what is it? Attachment, judgment, and oh
Persecution.
Lord, it just had it. It's right in. Oh, resisting. You know,
Right.
we
Resisting,
resist
yes.
what is. You know.
Mhm.
So why am I resisting? Resistance and judgment kind of many times go hand in hand, because we judge that it shouldn't be this way. We resist that it shouldn't be this way. And so we create the problems for ourselves out of those things. So just relax. Don't be too attached. Love this in this moment. I love sharing this moment with you.
Exactly. And, you know, the thing is also, you know, I'm a gut person, the knowingness person, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
and with this station, Self-Discovery
yeah,
Radio, I
yeah,
am constantly expanding, you know,
yeah,
constantly growing, and
yeah.
the NPO is coming up soon, and the book, and the other, you know, my vision for what I want it to do, how I want
Mm-hmm,
it to serve people. And
mm-hmm,
that vision has come from the soul. It has come from the gut. And I
mm-hmm,
know it's the vision I need to most certainly make happen. But I've tried this way and that way to make happen. And
mm-hmm,
and I've done it because everybody, you've got to do it this way. Okay, I'll try it.
mm-hmm.
But what I get is this knot in my stomach.
Uh-oh.
It's not in alignment with me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not in alignment with my
yeah,
core purpose. It's not in
yeah.
alignment with what I'm here to do. And I
Okay,
haven't yet found the right alignment,
okay,
you know, that to make it happen, because
sure.
it's all money that's stopping it from happening. I've got the
Okay.
people, it's always the money. It's
Mm-hmm,
how do I make the money? And it's people, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that?
mm-hmm,
And to say to people, it doesn't feel right.
mm-hmm.
And it's like, but push through that. You've got to do it anyway. No, I've learned something in my life. If it does not feel right, it's
Yeah.
God's message telling me that's not right for you.
And good for you, because you know, and not taking anything away from, I'm sure that your friends that are saying this to
Mhm.
you are well-meaning.
Right.
However, you have to, it would be wiser for them to just be lovingly supportive of you without trying to push you in a particular
Yeah.
direction. And if anything, to send their positive thoughts
Yes.
and prayers for your direction
Right.
in this, to send their thoughts and prayers for God, Gus, how, whatever their belief system is, to open the doors, to make the ways, to clear the way and make the connections that are right for you.
Yeah.
But here again, these are some of the things where that old egoic operating
Mhm.
system kind of spill over into the new spirituality, the upgrade that we are attempting to move in. I guess
Yeah.
is the best way I can language that. So.
I know it's, you know, this is the thing where I actually understand how, you know, people who are on a particular calling, you know,
Mm,
they found their path, they know what they're doing. But of course, then there's the human aspect of you've got to live.
yeah,
You know, you
right.
still have to sustain yourself.
Yeah,
And, you know, with the spirit is calling you this way. And of course, the human, I need to eat, and a roof over my head is calling
yeah,
you the other way.
yeah, yeah,
And, uh, and we're still very much driven by the money.
yeah,
And you need
yeah.
money to make things happen in growth, etc. And I think as human beings, we still haven't found that relationship with money yet.
Mm,
Of
mm,
how we
mm.
got to understand money as a tool. You
Yeah.
know, it's a commodity, and in from the beginning of time, there's always been a bartering of services. You do for me, I do for you,
Well,
and
there's a spirituality to money, even, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
that, yeah. So, and understanding the, moving into a deeper understanding of the spiritual aspect of finance, money, and those exchanges. And I think that's something that in many ways, I think the Jewish faith has a stronger hold on that and understanding of that. But for those of us coming out of Western Christianity in particular, you know, the whole view toward money is kind of perverted and
Yes.
messed up. You know, this whole thing of money is the root of all evil, which is an abject lie. The actual quote is, "The love of money," or
Yes.
greed
Yes.
is the root
Yes.
of all evil, would
Right.
probably be a much better
Yeah.
translation. So I went through my own kind of personal epiphany. It's not the money that I want, not for the money's sake, but
Yes.
for what I would be able to do
with
with the
it.
money,
Yes.
to purchase some wells, to maybe
Yes.
build some housing, and for folks, because my personal needs are not that huge. I mean, I don't give me a one-room efficiency and I'm happy. You know, I don't need a big mansion or a
Right.
Rolls Royce or any of those types of things. But to have the finance to be able to travel the world and meet
Doing the
people.
work that we're doing, and that's exactly it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the fluidity and the liberation of what money can provide. I know that with my work, as with your work, we could do so much more with that liquidity of money that would purely literally seed and water and, you know, and allow what it is that we want to do to expand. And it's
so write your checks to Self-Discovery Radio and make sure there's lots of zeros.
Yes. There was something on Facebook, a red door and a blue door. And it's like, it was, if you go through the blue door and go back and erase all your mistakes, so you go through the red door and there was $5 million or $10 million. And I said, I'll go through the red door because my mistakes has made me who I am. I'm wiser now. I know what to do with the money.
Okay, right? There you go. Good call. Yeah.
So I have no qualms about money at all, but but I think it's the vibration. I want the vibration of the money that comes to me to be honest.
Okay. Right? There you go.
And that's the thing, the authenticity. I've had plenty of opportunity of doing commercials of pharmaceuticals, which I'm against. And it's, you know, the authenticity. And I think this is where you have to be very careful if you're on the spiritual path. One, don't just relabel religion and just be preaching something different. Understand that spirituality is about energy begets energy, and it is about expansion, not about walls or containing. It is about liberating. The two is that if you have become that spiritual coach that now is gathering momentum and that you are making money, to remember your humbleness. Don't let the ego step in the way. Right. And suddenly you're too good for everybody. Or you know, or your demands now have become, you know, a little diva. And to remember your core reason for why you were doing it in the first place.
Exactly.
Right? Because we still need your message, but, you know, let's bring it down a notch. It's the message that has come through you, because this is what you've been chosen to do. Right. Don't suddenly get egonic and just become, it's all about you. No, it's about your message. And yes, make some money, because again, it's what you do with that money. Go make a shoot-load of money. How are you going to use that money to help other people? And yes, you do need to sustain and secure yourself, because you have every right to do that. But it's also, what are you going to do in creating opportunities for other people?
And Sara, it's not even just a right. It's your responsibility to take care of yourself.
Yes. Yes.
So, you know, and I think that's
I'm
one
no
of the
good to
things
anybody else if I'm depleted, like you, right? We're no good, you know? If our battery's flat, we've got no charger, how am I going to facilitate? Yeah, how are you going to help people, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's and also there's this whole thing about worthy.
Yeah.
You know, worth is, I'm abundant. I'm incredibly enriched. With the people that I know, with the people that I've been gifted like yourself. You know, I walk with their presence in me, and everything I do is to facilitate and to expand on that presence for others. So I'm already enriched. I'm just looking for the fluidity goal to concede more of it.
It's about to manifest.
Yes.
Okay, so it's already yours, and you are worthy. And
We are. And, you
it's,
know,
it's,
the work that we're doing, we
I
are.
receive that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I receive that. And it's a matter of making sure that, and you touched on something earlier too, continuing to walk in our own personal integrity
Yes.
about what we're doing,
Yes.
and who we choose to align ourselves with. And
Very
again, it's
important.
not being, so smug and everything, and oh, I can't be bothered with those people or anything,
No.
but just in a spirit of real authenticity and humility. There are going to be certain people who say, well, I'm not feeling the resonance there,
Yes.
and
Yes.
this is not the right path for me. I
Mm.
just had a situation like that here just recently where I had to decline because there was something that just wasn't right for it.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, as it worked out, I ended up having a conflict anyway. So, which for me kind of confirmed that
Yes.
situation wasn't necessarily the right one for me. And it's just being alert and mindful of
And soulful and heartful. It's listening to the gut and
exactly,
everything. I mean,
exactly.
our head is always going to calculate.
Hmm.
But if you don't bring the soul, heart, and spirit into the equation, you're
Right,
just going to be on calculation. And
right, right.
I have to live by my heart and soul. I
Yeah,
have to. You know,
yeah.
I've denied it in the past, and then I became the victim
Yeah,
because of that denial.
sure,
And I
sure,
cannot deny it anymore because it is
sure.
who I am
Yeah.
to
Well, and
join the we ares.
yeah, and that's walking in wisdom. It's not
Mm.
like my mom used to say, I don't mind you making a mistake, just don't do the same dumb stuff again.
Right,
So,
exactly. There's other
so,
mistakes to make. You can choose a different one.
yeah, yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Be creative.
be creative. And I think the whole thing about these shows was stepping into your I am, your
Mhm.
beautiful purpose and
Yeah,
what you're here for. Be in discovery of it.
yeah,
Allow your
yeah.
receiving,
Mm,
allow that knowledge to come from within, your gus
mm,
to come
yeah,
from within,
yeah.
and then take responsibility of the gift that you've been given, and
Right.
to make sure that you are authentic with it. If
Yeah.
you do get into a platform where you make the money, don't lose the message.
Yes.
Don't become the prima donna. Don't become
Yes.
too good for other people. I've
Yeah.
interviewed people where they're what I call the virgin interviews. They've never done
Uh-huh.
one before. They've gone
Yeah.
on to doing many things,
Yes.
and they've got to be careful, very careful, that they still remember the humble. Take pride in your growth and in the fact that your
Exactly.
message is going out there, but don't lose your message because
Exactly.
of the glory.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Stay humble. As a way I put
Yes.
it, just stay humble
Yeah.
and grateful. Keep
Yes.
that attitude of gratitude that the
Mm.
opportunities have opened up for you. Continue to grow and expand as the opportunities come. But again, another scripture comes to mind: when a person thinks they're something when they're truly nothing, they're a fool and deceive their own self.
Mm.
Back in the Roman days, the person walked behind the Caesar, remember thou art flesh, remember that,
Yes.
just don't forget from whence you came.
Exactly. Oh,
Yeah,
why you're here.
exactly.
I
What's
mean,
your
I've
mission?
got a whole bucket list of people I want to interview, and yes, some of them are very famous, and that is just what they've achieved.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
wanting to interview the human being that lies within them.
Yeah,
And when I meet them, I'm not going to be kissing any ass. I'm going to be exploring who they are,
yeah. Okay.
right? Because bravo for you for that achievement, for being a
Yeah,
person
right,
that people look up to or whatever.
right.
But I'm intrigued to know what made you that way,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's where I want to know your heart and soul. I don't go by the
yeah,
labels. I don't go
yeah.
by
Right,
the
right.
importance of you, because the importance of you has to be an inside job, not an
Yeah,
exterior,
right.
pedestal. So
Yeah. I've had a couple of people in my life and experience that once I did have the opportunity to meet them and see who they really were, I was honestly a little disappointed.
yes,
And that's okay,
yeah,
but part of the lesson there for me, there were multiple lessons, but one of them was, like you say, no, don't get carried away with yourself. And
yes, the
um,
illusion of them rather than the reality of them.
exactly. And the mission, why am I here?
Mm.
Keeping that focused, keeping an attitude of gratitude. And, I just, well, just like even with this, I shared with you how grateful I am that you discovered me, and the work that we've been doing together here on Self-Discovery Radio, and working with Ainsworth and with Christina, and, just, this has been phenomenal, and I just appreciate the opportunity to be able to touch the lives of some of the folks that are listening. And I thank Gus in advance for those that may end up reaching out and saying, hey, I'd like some one-on-one time with you or whatever. So, because that's part of my mission. That's why I'm here. So, and I totally get it. I am not the right guy for every person in the world.
No. Not everybody's cup of tea. Right?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yes.
But
I mean, these shows that we're doing here, for people, why are your shows so long? They're here for the people who are ready to listen, who truly want to hear, who really want to apply. The knowledge, the tidbits, the things that they've learned along the way, or want to reach out to the person who's sharing that knowledge because they're looking for someone to help them on their path.
Right.
And I'm not a 15-minute person of sensationalism. You can get that elsewhere. These shows are for the people who have already awoken, decided to take ownership. They're on their journey, and now they're trying to gather some more wisdom along the way to make their journey more fruitful. And this is, I'm a specialty station. And, obviously that doesn't make me terribly commercial. But as I said, if we can affect one person's life, and to put it on a path of their own beautiful liberty and exploration and soul awakening, hallelujah. So that's what it's about. The domino effect, and the sheer energy that we go out already has that effect on it as well. So the bottom line is, stay humble, right? Discover your I am. What are you here for? What is your calling? Your meaningful purpose. Stay humble in it. Yes, you can grow. And if you do, remember that responsibility of your message and why you're here in the first place. If it suddenly becomes global news, always to remain humble in that knowledge, because that's what keeps it true. Don't get caught up in the fame, the glory, of the hysteria, because that's when you can lose the message.
Yeah. And you used another word that I really embraced too, and that was the fluidity of our life, because it is this whole path that we're on. Everything is fluid and malleable to the extent that we have the ability to mold and to even change the course of many things in alignment with God, universe, spirit, but we have an amazing power within that fluidity that we have. But again, like you're saying, staying authentic and true to our purpose and everything is key.
Being aligned with your gut is being aligned with your Gus.
Oh, I love it. Can I borrow that one?
Being
aligned with your gut is being aligned with Gus.
Yes, it is. And the moment you go off that path, you can feel the restriction. You can feel the doubt. And it's don't push through or ignore that. No. This is your Gus speaking to you. And if you've got that restriction, it's saying that path is not for you. And I know it can be frustrating because, believe me, they keep giving me many, many paths to try. It's like, how about just giving me the path that works? But you learn something from every path that you take. And sometimes it's just to learn it's not the path. And you can truly say at the end of it, when you're on that right path, I have explored every avenue, right? And now I'm on the right path. As the most important thing is finding out why you're here, to what are you here to do. And then when you step into that and allow the receiving, the knowledge, the tools and how to use them and where to use them, and go with the flow of Gus love, then you're actually going to find out the vision. I've got the blueprint of everything I need to do, and I know the blueprint is right. Now I'm just looking at how I've got the architectural plans. I'm just looking for the builder.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah.
the builder to make it happen. And that's the thing, is I know the vision is right. So
Yeah.
the builder will come when the time is right.
Ah,
But
that
the
sounds
invitation's been
familiar.
sent out. I actually did a
Awesome.
show last week, which, because I do my own show every week on Sarah's View of Life, and I decided to do it on dating. I haven't officially dated in 37 and a half years.
Wow.
And I had a relationship in between my divorce and now, but it was with a business partner, so we kind of fell into a relationship. We never officially dated.
Mm.
And I've actually put it out there to people who are 50 plus. What is it like to date at my age? Do we text date? Is it Skype dating? Do you actually go out? My day we got dressed up and we went out for dinner and we got to know each other. What does one do now? And
Yeah.
I've asked people to share their tips, because it's a difficult thing to get out there. But it's, again, that it took a lot of courage for me to put out there. It's out in the universe. I've put it out there now. And I think that's sometimes what we have to do, is just find our courage to put something out there. The
Yeah.
information is out there, and
Yeah.
just wait, because it will be picked up in the
Yeah. Right.
synchronicity
Right.
when it's meant to
Right.
be.
Right, right. There was a book, I think it's out of print now, by David Viscott, I believe was the author, called, the title was simply Risking.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, we risk putting things out. We risk rejection.
Yes.
We risk a lot of different things from a mental, psychological standpoint and everything. But as the saying goes, nothing ventured, nothing gained,
The other is,
so
what have we got to lose by trying?
yeah, there,
If no one picks up, that's okay. I'm quite happy with me. It's just
yeah,
looking for someone to kind of share the happiness with, right? But if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. And if it
yeah.
is, it will be. But I have put out to the universe that I'm ready now to connect if there is that person. But at the same time, it's
Made me think of a song. I'm ready for love. Oh, baby, I'm ready for love. Okay. Oh, that's
Yep,
good.
yeah. A little
Okay.
love would be rather nice. But I think at the same time, there's enough love here for who I am
Yeah,
and what I do,
yeah,
and
yeah,
for
yeah,
everyone else that
yeah,
I'm doing
yeah.
it with. It's just, I think, more the companionship that you look
Sure,
for at this age.
sure,
And
sure.
the thing is again, it's we're always saying to people, aren't we? In order to find the love you seek, first you must find it within. And I had to
Yeah,
take that very long journey to love myself.
yeah.
Take the risk to love myself,
Mm,
without apology, without apologizing for my lack, but
mm-hmm,
embracing what I have to give,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
that it is enough.
Yeah,
And
right, right.
it took a long time for me to get there, because I had a hell of a lot of deprogramming to do.
Okay,
A lot of deleting, carpal
okay,
syndrome from doing it.
okay, okay.
But that's the thing, is if you in anything that you do, the resonance and the vibration that you put out is what you're going to receive.
That's exactly
Right.
right. Exactly right. And that's why it is important to be mindful of, and I talk to groups and leaders about this, what kind of energy are you bringing into the room? What type of energy are you bringing? What are you projecting?
What's your
Is it
tone?
what, yeah,
Yes.
is it what you want to be projecting? And just the awareness, the what we call sensory acuity, to watch and see how people respond to you, gives you an idea of the type of energy that you're throwing out,
Yeah.
so again, part of the spiritual journey and the growth in wisdom and in awareness. So yeah, you're amazing. Just keep doing what you're doing. You got my
It's,
support.
and we're going to be meeting, that's for sure. That's on the agenda. That's part of what the money's for. I've got to go meet this man. He's got to be part of the next book. He's going to be part of the video and everything else. So yes, it's the money's always for good purposes. Having said that, how do people get hold of you at Victorious Living System?
Yep.
And also, how do they find your church?
Well, the church is All Saints Lutheran Church, and that if you look up All Saints Olmsted Falls .us, that's that Olmsted is spelled OLMSTED. There is no A in it. Olmsted Falls, and I'm sure Sara will stick that up in the program notes and everything. But it's All Saints Olmsted Falls.us, and then Victorious Living System, which is kind of an extension of my ministry as well, and a little bit less on the religious side for sure, although I don't think we can escape spirit, because we are spiritual beings.
Yes.
And even though we don't necessarily go at it directly, there are some organizations and businesses and individuals that I work with that are very open to getting into the spiritual aspects of
that is the way of the future in all businesses. It is the spiritual consciousness.
Absolutely. Yeah. So victoriousliving.com is the website, and you can also find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. If you look for Charles Eduardos, I think on Twitter it's CG Eduardos. I'm on Instagram. I'm just all over the place. I'm like
Alignable. I think that's what it did actually, wasn't it? I can't remember. I think it was there. But yeah, it's always a delight to have you here. This actually was meant to be our other show today, and unfortunately Ainsworth couldn't join us, so we're going to do it again next week. But it's always a delight to talk with you. There's always so much to learn, and it's just such a beautiful flow. So
likewise.
This is the show that people need to get their glass of wine or their cup of coffee, put their feet
there
up,
you go.
Come and join us, right?
Drink it in, just relax.
Exactly.
Sit back,
Exactly. But I guess we need to call it a day, although I could talk to you forever, and you will be back, and we'll be doing it again, one of my regulars. And you understand why now that you've heard him, right? Why he's a regular. But always a delight. Always a delight. And
likewise, Sara. Appreciate you so much.
Ditto. And I hope you guys have learned something today about stepping into your spirituality. It's become a new belief for you. You really have immersed yourself into it. But please do not make the mistake of trying to contain it, box it, label it. It is about the flow. It is now for you to expand that beautiful understanding into the wind, into the rivers, into the air. Let it go. Expand it. Let it just
nurture
flow.
it.
Because it is about you sharing it, not holding it, and it's not only just for a few people, it's for everybody that is ready for it. So don't get caught up in the ego, and remember, I am is to become the we are.
I like that.
All right, my darling, thank you. Always a delight. And to everyone else, thank you for joining us. It's been another wonderful hour and a half of conversation.
Wow, has it been that long? Wow.
Easily.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely. And as I said, we could carry on forever, and there'll be definitely more talks coming up. And if you have a subject you'd like us to talk about, please just put it down in the comments or send me an email, info@selfdiscoveryradio.com, info@selfdiscoveryradio.com, and let me know. We will be delighted to cover it for you. Okay? Until next time, folks. Bye for now. For more wonderful shows like this, please go to selfdiscoveryradio.com, podcasts, and see our lineup. And if you wish to support us, we have a funded button. Please stay tuned for our next show.